Now, before we get to the panel and talk about George Calombaris and also Kevin Spacey, there's a worry I've just got to try and clear up and get off my chest or whatever. Today I read that the Federal Housing Minister, Michael Sukkar, was saying, go kids, get out there and buy your first home now. Prices are about to go up. In fact, he said, people who buy now I don't think will regret it at all. And to seal that deal, the government, Michael Sukkar as the minister, will soon unveil their signature plan to see a big chunk of the deposit of first-home buyers so that they don't need to find a 20% deposit. They can go to the bank with just 5%. I don't know, there's something about this that strikes me as a little risky. And just to check my hunch, I'm joined by Steve Jovcevski from the finance comparison site Mozo. I hope I pronounced that right, Steve. Mozo, right?
That's exactly right. How are you going?
Excellent. Good, thank you, mate. Hey, so here's the government minister saying, go buy a house, get deep in debt, do it with almost no deposit, no savings. Prices are sure to go up. Do it now, hurry. But, Steve, this is what I don't get. Interest rates are now so rock bottom low that they can only go up as well, and the economy is meanwhile looking a bit iffy. Is this smart advice from the government?
Well, I mean, I actually think it's a little bit irresponsible telling people to go out and buy a home. I mean, there's so many basically fundamentals if you buy property, rather than just getting a 20% deposit or a guarantee that you could walk in and get a loan. I mean, you know, are you comfortable with the repayments? Is the location right? I mean, at the moment in New South Wales, we're having a residential apartment crisis. You know, you could be buying a property, and a lot of those properties that are in this crisis are in that sort of first-home buyers range. You could be buying a property that the bank may not borrow against because they don't like the building. So there's all sorts of issues around what's going on at the moment, and Victoria obviously has the cladding issue and with their apartments. So I think it is a little bit irresponsible to just go out and say go and buy willy-nilly, it just seems. So there is some concerns whether that's the right advice.
Now, well, Steve, let's cut him a bit of slack here. House prices, they do seem to have bottomed out since the election. Is the minister right? Look, they're going to go up, so get in now. Is that bit at least?
Well, I mean, we're talking, obviously, there's different capital cities. If you're talking about Sydney and Melbourne, they probably are at the bottom, and they may go up, absolutely. So, you know, he may be right, but we don't know for sure. Obviously, we still need more data to come in the next couple of months. But it appears that it is at the bottom. But obviously, there are other factors when you're buying a property. Can you comfortably afford the loan? I think is more important necessarily than is it the right time to buy, because you're buying for the long term. So if you're buying, you know, for the long term, it shouldn't really matter when you're buying, because eventually the prices will go up after a period of time.
But Steve, your phrase there, the long term, is what gets me. Because look where interest rates are now, right? They are at absolute record lows, and they're going to go up. And I'm not so sure that enough younger buyers understand how much they could go up in the life, well, you know, 2 years, 4 or 5 years from now. They are going to be a bit higher, I should imagine. And that is the bit that worries me. Whether the government's tempting people into taking loans they won't be able to service in a few years' time.
Look, hopefully within, I mean, you do have a point. I mean, that is possible. I mean, they probably could go down a little bit more. A lot of the economists are saying they may go down once or twice more again. And it will be quite a while, I think, before they do go up. But when they do go up, 4 or 5 years' time, absolutely. But, you know, I don't think they need to go up too much to make a difference in the repayments or the ability to repay. So whether or not they'll go up, you know, like 1 or 2% is unlikely. They may even go up 0.5% or 3/4, and that would make enough difference because the loan amounts are so big these days in comparison to the past. So, you know, hopefully in 4 or 5 years, a lot of these first-home buyers may be more sort of settled in their, you know, in their employment, and it may be okay. But, you know, and that's why I said prior, make sure that you can afford the repayment. If you are going to jump in as a first-home buyer, make sure you're comfortable with the repayments. Make sure that you're happy to buy and it's the right location. And I think if you have those fundamentals in place, then you should be okay. And I mean, they are reducing the buffers. We've heard a lot about the banks reducing buffers. So suddenly they've gone from that minimum of 7.25. Now ANZ announced 5.5%. So make sure that, including that buffer, if you are a first-home buyer, that there is enough sort of gap in there and you're still comfortable with the repayments, even if they go to, 6, 7, 8%.
Good on you, Steve Jovcevski. Thank you so much indeed for your advice. Appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you, Andrew.
Here's another thing that's